and they're standing there like this. Man, it's like they got a whole deck of cards. Like, they got all the offering envelopes there. And it's really efficient. It's awesome to watch it. I just like going to his church just to see the ushers, man. It's awesome, man. But you know what? That just didn't happen. It just didn't just happen one day. They had to train those ushers. They had to work with them. They had to develop a system. And then they have to keep on it to make sure that they continue to do it that way. It just doesn't happen. Here's another example. Every conference we have a pastor's lunch. And years ago, we used to go to some resort. And it was nice. But I'll tell you what, I love having the pastor's lunch in there, man. I mean, they got it wired. It's like you're going to like a 5-star hotel for eating, man. They've got it all decorated in. The food is awesome. It's not like they went to Taco Bell and bought, a couple dozen of Burrito Supremes or something. I mean, it's awesome. And it's a great system. And these are good systems, and when they're good, they help the body to grow. Now let me give you an example of a bad system. And I'll use a restaurant in my city as an example. We have this Mexican restaurant in my city. And I mean, they have awesome food, man. I mean, it is awesome. They got this little mamacito back there cooking it, man. And she is, tearing it up, man. She's probably about 4 foot tall, man. She's back there cooking it. And I mean, the food, the tacos are great. And the chili relleno, the chips and salsa. I mean, it's awesome food. But they have a problem with their customer service. The owners and the waitresses are rude. We'll go in there and we sit down at the table and they go, oh no, you move over here by the stove, It's like, what is this, man? And they're just kind of rude and the customer service is awful. And then finally, me and my wife said, we're not going back. We don't care how good the food is. We don't care if Mamacito's back there sweating up a bucket, man. We're not going back. Why? Because one of the systems, customer service, is jacked up. See, if one system is bad, it will destroy everything. You may have the best preaching in town. You may have a powerful vision. We're going to touch the world. You may have awesome outreaches. You're hitting the streets and doing things for God and getting the word out. But if one of your system is off, if something's not working properly, you will lose people. Amen. Or people will visit your church and they will not come back. And it doesn't matter if the people really like you, Pastor. People come to our church, they like you and they like your wife and they really like the people in your church. But if you have a system that's not working properly, it's going to ruin everything. See, listen to me. Building a church is like building a pyramid with marbles. Well, think about that. It's not easy. It's very hard. And that's why you need to have systems, and the systems need to be operating properly in order for you to build a good church. Amen. And it doesn't matter how big your church is. It could be 10 people. It could be 30 people. It could be 100. It could be 1,000. It doesn't matter. But there are multiple systems that are in your church, even if you don't know about it, and they have to be done properly. So this morning, I want to look just at 3 systems, okay? There's dozens and dozens of systems in a church, but I want to just look at 3. You guys still with me this morning? Okay, I get to talk about many other ones, but I believe these are the 3 that God wanted me to talk about. And they're not in order of importance, okay? The first one is children's ministries. Children's ministries. This could include nursery, children's church, Sunday school, whatever you call it. In Proverbs chapter 22, verse 16, it says, train up a child in the way he should go. Even when he is old, he will not depart from it. Now, of course, that is basically being directed at parents, but I believe as a church, we have an obligation to train our kids about Jesus Christ. Amen. No matter how young they are, we need to train them, teach them. And a children's ministry is a vital system to your church. And I was reading this survey that the Barnum Institute did, and they did a survey of 3 million people. That's a lot of people. And they surveyed these people, and they listed the top 5 reasons why people don't like coming to church. These are sinners. Okay, 5 reasons why people don't like coming to church. And the number 1 reason was this: because our kids don't like it. Wow. See, we live in a child-centric society, okay? Where the kids decide where you're going to go on vacation. You know? Parents, you don't go where you want to go, you go where the kids want to go. The kids decide what restaurant you're going to eat at. You want to eat at Outback, but the kids want a Happy Meal because they get a prize. You go to McDonald's. And the kids also pick the church. You know, 25, 30 years ago, back when my sons were kids, okay, they were little kids, we used to be in church, and we'd get a coloring book, some crowns, a couple G.I. Joes, and we have our kids on the floor while we're in a church service, and they'd be down there coloring and playing with the G.I. Joes. But I'm here to tell you, Pastor, those days are over, man. Amen. Those days are gone. Now, when a family, visits your church or comes, after the service, they load up into the car, and the parents ask the kids the big question: how did you like the service? And if the little buggers answered they didn't like it, the parents are not going to return, no matter how much they liked it themselves. Did you hear me, Pastor? The parents aren't coming back because the little rugrats didn't like your church's children's ministry. Even if you met them on outreach and you prayed with them and you connected with them and that God touched them, and then they're not coming back because of the kids. Years ago, we had this family move to our city. And it was a husband and wife and 4 kids, and they were backslidden. And they moved to our city, and they came to our church. And God really touched this couple. Their 2 teenage kids got saved, and they started coming to our youth group on Friday night. And God was working in their lives. And so this couple is coming to our church for 4 or 5 weeks straight, man. And they're connecting with people. They seem like they're enjoying it. Things are going great. Then all of a sudden they stop coming. 1 week they're not there. 2 weeks I'm thinking, they're on vacation. They're out of town. But then 3 weeks and I go, I'm going to give them a call. And so I call them, and the wife answers the phone. And I go, hey, how you doing? We've been missing you. Where you guys been? And she says, well, Pastor, me and my husband love your church. The worship is great. The preaching is really touching us. The people are so friendly. Our teenagers love the youth group. But then she said this, but Pastor, my 2 little ones, my 8 and 9-year-olds, don't like your children's church. So we found another church with a better kids program. And I'm telling you, I was so stinking mad. I turned about 3 shades of red. And then I'm thinking, are you kidding me? God's touched you. Your teenagers are living for God. And little Johnny and Susie don't like it. And so you're not coming back? Now, I didn't say that. I was thinking it, okay? And I got off that phone call, and I decided right there and then we were going to have the best children's ministry that we could possibly have with the money that we have. We're going to make it good. One day I wasn't preaching, and I made my way down where we have the kids ministry, and I go in there, and I'm not kidding, they had built an ark out of cardboard. It's an ark. And then all the kids have these little paper masks of different animals. And I go, what in the heck is going on here? What are you doing here? But here it is, she's teaching them about Noah and the ark and how all the animals came onto the boat, and the kids were actually the animals, and they were sitting, I mean, it was a big giant ark in the middle of the room. And they do things like that all the time, and the kids love it. The kids don't want to leave. The parents come to pick them up, and the kids go, I don't want to go. Now, instead of losing families because the kids don't like the children's ministry, the kids are encouraging the parents to come back even if the parents aren't saved. We had this one lady in our church, and she had this friend that was unsaved, and she's inviting her to church and inviting her. And then finally, because she's so persistent, her friend came to church, and she brought her 2 kids. This lady's totally unsaved, but she comes, and her 2 kids love it, love the children's ministry. And they're bugging her mom, we want to come back, Mom, we want to come back. You know how kids are, we want to come back, we want to do this. And this lady, she's not saved. She goes, well, I